You can't negotiate genuine desire. So I've had clients that I've had over the years, and they've talked to me about some of their sessions with the therapist, the marriage counselors and therapists, and literally begging the married woman to have sex with their husband. And not because he's turning her on and she's hot for him and the sexual anticipation builds because he's opening her up and he's romancing her and still continuing the love story, but because out of obligation, because hey, you're married, you should have sex with your husband just because, even when you don't feel like it. But the reality is attraction is not created. It's only revealed, meaning it's already there and you just have to uncover it or create the conditions where, especially like with women, they reveal themselves and they start pursuing and they put themselves into your orbit and they make it like what Gracie was talking about, her going up and talking to guys, or like you're in the gym working out and a cute girl comes and sits right in front of you with the piece of equipment that's facing you. So you're literally staring at each other and hoping that you'll start talking to her and strike
All
up
you
a
have to do
conversation.
is not talk her out of it.
Exactly. So the other thing is love is allowing. Love is an act. Love is a giving, and it's when part of love is also allowing the other person to love you and allowing them to be themselves. Like the Thich Nhat Hanh quote, you must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. And it's important because it allows the person to still be who they are, but to also come together and become one when you are spending your time together. But you still keep your life, your friends, your hobbies, your interests. You're doing things more on a team basis now, but you still remain the happy, whole, complete people you are. You don't just sacrifice your goals, your dreams, and everything you wanted to try to please the other person. And then you, in essence, become something different other than what they fell in love with. And then, what guys hear all the time is, you changed. You're not the same man anymore. And they're like, well, I did all the things you said that you wanted. You thought my baseball card collection was stupid, or my Star Wars collection was stupid, or my bowling nights with the guys was stupid. And so I gave all that up and I stopped doing those things so we could spend more time together. And he never has the balls to stand up to her. And so he's just doing things to try to please her because she says she doesn't like it. Whereas he likes these things and they're important to him. And she might not be a fan of it, but she's seeing what he'll do. And when she challenges him on things, if he's unsure of himself and he doesn't feel comfortable in himself, instead of saying, I love you, but no, I'm not giving up my poker night with the guys, or I'm not giving up my baseball card collection I've been working on since I was in 6th grade because it's worth hundreds of $1,000s, or maybe it's worth $10,000 today. In another 20 years, it could be worth a couple million, and it's something he's passionate about. And when a woman challenges a guy or tests him to see, and then he just folds like a cheap deck chair and gives up, who he is because he's trying to please her, and in hopes that if I become what you want, you'll love me more and you'll give me sex and the things that I want.
That's negotiating for sex, which is ridiculous.
Exactly.
And the way I view it is that attraction and love happens when you have the trust and the respect. Like when I trust a man and I respect a man and I feel safe and secure and adored, then I am so attracted to him. But when he's not in his frame, when I stop having respect for him, or honestly, if you can't trust somebody, you're not going to respect them. And without the respect and the trust, you lose attraction, and love can't live there. And I think that's what happens with sex and relationships. When there's frustration, or there's a loss of trust, or somebody disrespects the other one, the attraction gets messed up.
When I do coaching with guys that are in long-term relationships, maybe they've married 10 years or more, it's always of two reasons for the loss of attraction. Either A, he's not communicating with her and opening her up, or B, he stopped dating and courting her and romancing her. In other words, they got married, they moved in.
She doesn't feel adored.
They had kids, And then it just, it becomes a routine every week where like, oh, hey, it's Friday night. Instead of getting
Mhm.
a babysitter for the kids or letting the grandparents watch the kids and then taking her out and romancing her and having a fun night together, a date night, they're like, oh, let's just get a pizza and a 2 liter of Coke or Pepsi or some soft drink, and
Mhm.
we'll rent a movie and just sit. And then when the kids go to bed, hopefully my wife will fuck me, and it just
Yeah.
becomes a boring, dull routine. And women know if the guy cares and truly loves being with her and having fun and lighting her up and making her smile, that he's gonna make dinner reservations or get a babysitter or
Mhm.
find a bread and breakfast to just get away with the two of them for the weekend. And so what I see is that the guys just stop. I was like, a lot of times I go, when was the last time you guys went on a date? And they're like, about a year ago. And I was like, dude, that's not gonna
She doesn't
fly.
feel adored.
Yeah,
She'll adore you if she feels adored. Like it doesn't take much either. It could just be my last relationship started out he called me princess and it was like this sweet thing. And at the end I was like, you just stopped calling me princess. It was kind of like it was an all encapsulating thing of like how the whole thing broke down over time, and it was my way of saying you stopped being the man you were in the beginning. And it's just those
he
little
changed.
things.
He
I
literally
didn't feel
changed.
adored anymore, and he didn't probably feel adored by me, because when you lose all that stuff that you're saying, if we're not dating anymore, then we're not having that exchange. It becomes routine.
Got to
It's
hang out, have fun, and
who's
hook
doing the
up.
dishes tonight? Don't forget to take the trash to
You
the
become
curb.
roommates.
It's just routine. There's nothing else. You got to try. You have to make an effort. Yeah.
That's the two biggest things: is the communication piece or the dating and courtship. That's like 98% of the issue. It's always one of two of those, or maybe a combination of both. Maybe he's not communicating or dating and courting her properly.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the two things that I see over and over and over again. And when I'm coaching the guys, I get them focused back on that and communicate, because a lot of times they're pissed off because they're not getting laid and they're mad and they
Mm-hmm.
want sex and they feel like the wife is withholding it. But the wife doesn't feel heard and understood. Like I had a client years ago that I had met him when I was doing like a radio show when I first started, my first published my book, and I was doing a radio interview. I think it was like Chicago or something like that. And this guy called in and he was telling me what was going on, and I helped him over. I was giving advice over the radio, and then he later called me and did a bunch of phone sessions with me over the years, and I taught him how to go out and meet women, and because he was kind of a little shady, fly under the radar, and he came off as a little weird and creepy instead of charming and playful. And he eventually found a really beautiful wife, and it was like just like I wrote about in my book, his new reality became when he would go out and his girlfriend at the time and later his wife would be on his arm, the people would like look at her and be like, wow, she's really beautiful, and then look at him and think, and then look back at her and like, what are you doing with this guy, kind of thing. You could see all the time, and it made him feel amazing because other people were perceiving like, wow, this guy's really got a really hot wife, hot girlfriend that, quite frankly, it's like he really, we talked about hypergamy, where
Mm-hmm.
he dated up. He dated a woman. She was smarter. She was really good at math. And when they later got married and had kids, one of the things he was like, I'm the man. He was in the military. He was like, I'm the man of the house, and I'm going to start paying all the bills and the phone bill and the electric bill and all this stuff, because he was earning the money and his wife was like a stay-at-home mom, but she was good at it and he sucked at it. He wasn't good at
Mm-hmm.
balancing the checkbook. He'd be bouncing checks, and then phone would get turned off or something like that, or the kid, because the bill didn't get paid. And so she didn't feel safe
Mm-hmm.
anymore in the relationship because she didn't know what was going to happen, and he wasn't leading, he wasn't taking care of that. And he was all proud of himself, and like I did a phone session with him and his wife, because when they got married, they came to Orlando and had their honeymoon there. I was living there at the time. We got together, and they took me out to dinner and stuff because he wanted me to meet her in person. She was a sweetheart. And then they later, when they had kids, and then he kind of took over running the bank accounts and everything like that, and she ran it like a top. And so I listened, because obviously I always want to hear what the woman has to say first. So I was like, so tell me what your perspective is on everything. Because he's expecting that I'm going to agree with
Mm-hmm.
him and tell her that she needs to do what I say kind of thing because
Yeah.
he's right. And I listened to her, and she just talked about what was bothering her was because she didn't. I knew she wasn't having sex with him because she didn't feel safe and comfortable. And then
Mm-hmm.
when she told me about all the bills not getting paid and services getting turned off because he was doing a lousy job of it, and she was amazing at it, and he was busy with other things, and quite frankly didn't really have the time to do it anyways, and she did a better job. So he I told him what he did wrong and why he was wrong, and he saw it obviously my way and recognized that he was wrong, and he apologized. And then he let her start doing, paying all the bills and stuff. And so she was great at budgeting and paying the bills, and then she would give him an allowance every week for lunch and things of that nature because he was just spending whatever and spending too much money
Mm-hmm.
when he was running it. And so she felt safe because she knew the bills were paid because that was really important to her. She did,
Yeah.
and so that one little thing, and then obviously him apologized, and then she felt heard and understood, and now she felt safe again because she had control of something that, quite frankly, she was way better at. As
Mm-hmm.
far as the two of them as a team, as a husband and wife team, she was better to be the one paying the bills and giving out the allowances, for each of them to have as their spending money for the week. So they still save money and put money away and were able to raise their family. But that was a simple thing that because he believed he was right, it was creating this friction, and he was mad. He was pissed off because he wasn't getting laid, and she didn't feel safe. She didn't trust him. And so when she took that over, and she felt safe again, and so she trusted him, and sex life came, and they had more kids after that, and it was
Sex is so important to men. It's just so high up there. I learned that by reading this book. I obviously am, older, and I've had lots of experience with, relationships, and I've got lots of guy friends. I know that guys like sex, but reading this book made me realize it's really important for a man in a way that women enjoy it and love it. We don't, it's not like a hunger like men have. And so if you
well, at the
can,
end of the day, men are supposed to be the leader anyways, and it's their job to lead the relationship and lead the love story because they start it.
but
They're the
you
ones
should
that
have a,
they're the ones that see the woman most of the time
mm-hmm,
and go and approach her and start talking. Eventually, they end up on a date. Eventually, hooking up down the road, having a relationship. Maybe someday getting married, and they start the courtship, and it's their job to continue that. And as long as they're continually sweeping her off her feet, she's always going to be jumping in her lap or grabbing his balls or coming up to him, hugging him, and while she's hugging him, start rubbing his cock in the
mm-hmm,
kitchen or whatever. And it's like, hey, baby, how you doing? And because she feels beautiful, she feels safe
mm-hmm.
to just be joyful and happy
It's
and
really so
playful.
easy, honestly. It's
Yeah.
so easy to make a woman
Yeah,
like
if a
that.
guy's not getting laid, he's having a problem with it. It's like he needs to read my books because he doesn't
Mm-hmm,
understand women. He doesn't understand the seduction process. She doesn't
mm-hmm,
feel safe and playful. She's not tapped into that feminine energy because he's not showing up
mm-hmm.
in the way that he needs to.
Yeah.
And we talked a lot about that with the interview with Dominic and Ashley. And it's like when a guy's just showing up, but women just like purr like a kitten and will follow him anywhere and be stuck to him like a sucker fish 24/7, either physically or digitally, just because she loves being with him and
Mm-hmm.
they love giving. And that's what my relationships have always been like since things finally clicked for me. And when I wrote about in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't worry about rejection anymore. You don't worry about not getting sex. More often than not, you end up getting more sex than you want, and the woman's more interested in it than you are because she's pursuing you so much, and it makes it fun and easy and effortless. And you feel very masculine and very manly that way because you're not having to try for anything. You don't feel like you're being denied anything. As a matter of fact, oftentimes you're like, baby, let me
Get
have a
off.
night
Give me some
off. My
time
back is
alone.
fucking killing me. My legs are killing me. I need to grow the skin back on my dick because it's fucking raw from all the fucking we've been doing.
Yeah.
And, so if you're doing things right, that's gonna be your problem. You're getting too much sex, and you need to take a break from it. And guys that aren't getting sex are not communicating or romancing their girl properly.
Yeah, negotiation is not the
Yeah,
way.
that's not the way.
Mm-mm.
It's gonna make her pussy drier in the fucking Sahara Desert.